if I remember correctly, you were the one who said that all foreclosures should be upgraded with a new refrigerator.
It's in our condo docs. It reads just like that. And a committee was to be formed to establish the standard.
Okay, has it been done? Has there an inspection been done on the apartments?
The only one that I know that was inspected was mine. It was the first short sale foreclosure, and the one that I did 2 weeks ago. Between then and 2 weeks ago, I don't know of any others having been inspected as foreclosure sales. Do you, Marvin? No. It hasn't been done, hasn't been instituted, but now that we have an architectural review committee, and this comes under architectural review, it's establishing of the standards for these upgrades.
Because I would hate to see it ignored.
I think
Me too.
it's discriminatory. Number one, the number of people who buy and rent to buy the foreclosure is none. You will make no effect on the money savings you're going to realize.
Oh, maybe he's
If you want to do it, then you should pass a rule that every apartment has got to put new toilets. That's what you want.
Well, it's
You
allowed,
cannot, if right now, excuse me, if right now, I think according to Stewart, there are 92 investors who bought foreclosures, or whatever the case may be. Their effect will be basically zero on the usage of water. I mean, and those who stay here, they use 4 gallons instead of 1.9.
That's the idea of the inspection, and every toilet will be inspected,
No,
and
but then
we'll
you just change
replace the flapper for
Excuse
free.
me, you are changing only a flapper. So if the owner is still here, he's using 4
I don't
gallons.
believe you can force existing owners to change their toilet according to Howard, right?
I don't know, but you know, I think that's discriminatory to start with.
You can't make existing owners change their toilets, but you can require new owners in the transfer process to do it.
Why do you penalize the people who help you?
When you're buying a foreclosure for 30 cents on a dollar, I think you can afford a toilet,
That's
Elon.
irrelevant. That's why they're
it's
buying.
already in the amendment.
It's already amended.
It's already
Last year to that effect.
But whatever it is, it's irrelevant why they buy cheap. They're buying it because it's cheap, not because it's $1 on a dollar. They're buying because it's cheap. It makes sense to them. So if you want
What's
to
the
It's
point?
a requirement.
That's not the reason. The reason is if you buy a foreclosure, you can rent it immediately if you can pass the inspection and upgrade it.
If you're a current owner. Right, but the standards for those upgrades have never been clearly established. The purpose of this architectural review committee was to establish those standards and go forward with them on transfers of property.
It's not going to change the amount of money.
This is a good thing for the village. This could save us $75,000 to $100,000 a year on water.
It's done already.
It seems like a no-brainer, right, Ed?
It's done already.
All right, next victim is the security.
Mayor Frank, I have a motion, please, based on the committee's report. I'd like to present a motion to authorize the property manager to institute a program as soon as possible to institute an inspection of all units, check for water leaks, installing toilet flappers as needed, no charge, and provide air conditioner drain lines.
I'll second.
Can I say something to you regarding air conditioning drain lines? You're going to get your problem in the field.
I'll second it.
I just wanted to make sure I'm right. At no cost, that's...
At no cost. The flapper is a no cost. It's a $2 item, and it's 5 minutes to replace it.
Anybody against it? Then it passes. Next victim.
I hear you say something about
Next committee meeting actually took place on March 5th also, 11:12 a.m. Roll call was myself and Ed Scalar and Marvin Chow on the committee. Recommendations from this committee. The committee is the security committee, I'm sorry, and the security committee meeting. And the recommendations that came out of this 1 hour and 5 minute meeting was to replace the front gate entry system and create an effective management system for same.
What is so funny there?
Not funny. This is something we have had several proposals, several bids on, and we have never acted on when we get the money to do this, I think it should be a priority, or sooner.
Didn't we agree to buy a fax machine?
That's the second item on this list. Okay, the second proposal, the first proposal of changing the gate entry system is somewhat expensive, but it's very important to the future of security here in the village. Under the more affordable things that we can do immediately, that for all vehicles entering the property without a barcode or a pass, a photocopy of the occupant's driver's license and/or other identification. So we would have a simple $50 copy machine at the gate, and anyone without a barcode or a pass would ask for the driver's license, and without any fanfare, simply have the security guards make a list of those. At the end of the day, turn them into the office for referencing to the owner if they have ever filled out an application for rent, and who's occupying those units. I mean, it's the beginning of trying to determine who lives in the village. And we have a gate that everyone has to come through, unless they walk in, they have to come through that gate. And if they don't have a barcode or a pass, asking for identification would be a normal request. It's done at every other condo in the area. You cannot go into the other condos in this neighborhood the way you can here. And they use the same security company, which is why I don't understand why we're not getting our money's worth there. Which brings me to the third recommendation, to review our current gatehouse operations and procedures to verify that the association is getting what it contracted for. That would be something worth looking into. What we contracted for in terms of security and what we get. I don't think anyone has really had that meeting yet recently.
How do we ever know how this officer would be available? I mean, what if he's off duty? What do you?
Who?
Are we talking about this subsidizing the rent for?
No. We're talking about reviewing the current gatehouse operation and procedures to verify that the association is getting what it contracted for.
Michael, on that matter, we met, extensively in our research with different security companies. 3 came in, one flew in from California, etc. And every single one of them said, if you don't change those gates and you do not, and make it so, right now people can go to the gate, and if the guy says you don't belong here, they can escape into the property, and they do. So it's up to us to give them, what we want from them. We want you to greet so-and-so when people come, good afternoon, or whatever it is, whatever we want, we have to give them.
Okay, so then we have to establish the criteria?
That's right.
All right.
And then there's something if something goes off, there's some reference point, but it's up to us to tell them what we want. And also, the front gate, in my mind, I've been begging for this for years. Interstate gave a great, very financially good offer that we should act on immediately to move our front gate and make it so that people cannot escape into the property. They must turn around if they're not admitted.
I couldn't download that. I could not download that.
Oh, you couldn't download.
I'd like to say something on that.
Howard has it. And it's a really worthy offer. And financially too, I mean, we spend so much on stuff that's non-essential. This would make a critical, immediate difference. So I don't know how we get to.
An idea approximately what it's going
But that's for the
$25,000 that's it should have been accepted immediately.
It should have been, but it was for more than just the front gate. It was for also correcting the Nottingham, was another problem area that going in parking. It was for correcting, it included many more things, a Bordeaux wall that people are always jumping over. And you can separate out an item, and I'm sure maybe this time they might even offer less, so 25,000 is all included. So for one portion.
You think we can approve the copy machine at the gate? I mean, that's a very inexpensive thing we could do right away.
$50, which is over.
$50.
We can take that
But
out.
I want somehow to get through this. I've been begging for 2 years.
We don't even need a motion for that, Howard.
No, just pay for it on petty cash.
Right.
For the copy
Yeah, I'd like to say this too, that with the guards,
We should look at their proposal and discuss how we can implement it.
the guards at the gate have been instructed to take a driver's license before they let anybody turn around. Take their driver's license, hold it, have them turn around, go to the other side of the gate, give the driver's license back, and watch them exit. That's what they've been instructed to do.
Well, that could,
Yeah.
I mean,
They've been instructed
we
to do
need to
that.
give these instructions to the gate.
They already have those instructions, they should be implementing that already.
I see so many, I mean,
Yeah, but it's loose. It's
I
got
see
some
so many
management
criteria when I'm coming to the complex. And as I'm driving on the side for the park, a visitor car will come through, and this gate opens even before I enter through the park. The guard could not have possibly known who the devil was he was running in. There's no time for anybody to show their identification or anything else. The car's
Yeah, that's the idea, is to review these procedures and give, you know,
Somebody
Establish.
has time to visit.
Management establishes procedure,
Dinner check.
and
Call
then
me
how
and
it
say,
should be.
well, this is what you expect. It's just the right.
one more recommendation, and then I would like to make a motion on the most cost-efficient ones we can do right away. I would like the criteria at the gate that we use, and the copy machine with no expense.
No, we need a motion, we'll just,
Petty cash.
it should have been implemented.
Okay, but again, they use it, that's the
Can you
question,
recommend
George.
something to you around the cast, people coming to the village? The security guard is a print, the passport go to the, hand it to the person, to the place. And the paper they give us a piece of paper where we print in the machine is a white. It's not a color. We're supposed to give you, listen, we're supposed to give you the gate house, the gas person coming. The gas is supposed to stay here only 24 hours per day. This happens in all condominiums. If we give you only one pass, the color is red. The first day is Monday, red. You give your pass to him. See, this guy, has a pass in the gas parking. We have to recommend this, have to keep this pass in the
Why
in
do
the
you
car.
get a one-day pass if he hasn't got?
We give you 1 day pass. Every day has a color pass. Different colors. Red, white, blue colors. We did in the past. We have in the past. We're not doing it.
All the person coming to the gate has to do is call the gate themselves and say they're coming. And
We're
they'll let
supposed
them in.
to having this gas and we keep in the car and watch this gas people they can't stay in 1 day. You have to
On
come
the
back
dash- on the
again. You
dashboard.
have to find another gas pass. That's the good idea. We do it
The
before.
color-coded pass would be a good idea, be simple to
Do
identify.
those guys have caller ID at the gate? Do they have caller ID at the gate? Caller ID?
I don't know.
They should. Because like you said,
Caller
anybody
ID
can call
at the
themselves
gate
in.
would prevent the occupant, I don't know, would prevent it, would make.
Well, at least I know who's making the call. Otherwise, anybody can call anybody in. They can say they're anybody.
Yeah, well, it's.
We might consider getting caller ID at the gate.
Can only help.
Yeah.
Security as the economy gets worse is going to be an increasingly important issue, so I really think we should take these seriously. The last one is the last recommendation, the association, and this is something that I've been talking about for a couple of years, and it's a very low-cost, long-term solution to security. And that's for the association to require one of the foreclosed apartments, and for the purpose of housing a Lauderhill police officer with a marked car, and in exchange for the on-site services such as following up on unit owners and building admins or security guards' complaints and other suspected illegal activity. A rent concession would consist of the officer paying the maintenance and the taxes, which would come to about $350 a month that we're currently not getting on in lieu of foreclosed apartment. No one's paying the maintenance. So if an officer got an $800 a month apartment for $350, the difference of the $500 or so would go towards providing 2 hours a day of follow-up security on complaints, which now go to the office front desk, which then go nowhere. So we need some kind of a chain of enforcement and security that could be handled, even if we lost, it cost us $100 a month, charging the officer $350 for the apartment. It would be $1,200 a year to have a police officer on the property for 2 hours a day or 10 hours a week to follow up on complaints with a gun and a badge, which this is very common practice in all the apartment complexes in this area in South Florida. The apartment complexes, which are places where you rent from the owner of the whole property, they, for every number of units they have, they provide a courtesy police officer apartment at a hugely discounted price, and these new rookie officers look for these deals when they're starting with the police force for housing. And there's no reason we can't do the same. Extremely low cost security. That was the last recommendation, which if anybody wants to explain further, I'll be glad to do it. The numbers are just incredibly low for what you get for the money.
Michael, who owns the apartment?
The association would own the apartment.
So the association needs the money to buy the apartment.
Well, that's when you can buy a studio for $25,000. I don't think it's prohibitive.
It's prohibitive for the association if they are, you know, if they don't have the money, if they're losing.
No, it would require.
That's the capital investment that you're not bringing up. And
But
we
it's
don't.
also
And
something
the question is, do we have that capital investment to
It
buy
may not
the
be something we
foreclosure?
have today, but it would, how are you gonna, if you
But you're
hire
talking
one more
about it.
rover, if you
You're
put
talking
another
about
rover on for 8 hours a day, that's $25,000 a year.
It's not the same thing, Linda.
No, a guy with a badge and a gun would be more effective.
No,
The question is, do you have the money today to do it? Because you're talking about today, and you're talking about doing it today.
No, I'm not talking about doing it today. This is something we should be,
Oh.
you know, for security. This is more maybe long-term, or when we get $1 million settlement, that would be cheaper than paying another minimum wage rover to ride around the golf cart at $25,000 a year. You buy one apartment and house a police officer.
Is the association allowed to own it?
Yes, the association's allowed to buy, you know, property. In fact, they should, as they at one time did, use the first option to buy in some cases. But yes, every apartment that transfers here, the association has the option of purchasing it.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we had the police officer on hand, could he oversee some of the traffic problems here? I mean, the people don't...
Well, you can follow up on the complaints.
They don't
And
stop it.
once you identify the problems, who's going to go knock on their door?
Yeah, I mean, now they don't stop at the stop signs, they don't obey the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit.
What?
They don't follow.
They don't follow it.
They don't follow the law.
They don't stop at the stop sign.
They don't want.
Half of the people here don't stop at the stop sign, they just zoom right through.
Well, that's, you know, he's
Could-
not
could
gonna
he-
do- he's not
could he
a
follow
traffic
that?
cop for us. He's to follow up on illegal
The answer is
activities.
yes. The answer is yes.
Currently, we have no way to follow up. I mean, who's going to knock on the door when you smell marijuana coming out into the hall? And, or other criminal activities. You can't send a committee person over there because they have been assaulted for asking these questions.
I'm in agreement with Michael here.
Good idea.
We have to take into consideration, we have to pay interest on the money we borrow to buy the apartment, or the money we're losing by buying the
by
apartment.
signature.
We have to pay taxes,
The apartment would currently be collecting no maintenance.
and we have to have a clear cost analysis before we do it.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a good idea if you have the money.
Well, the cost of other security approaches, you know, when you examine the cost efficiency of another rover and having a police officer, I mean, it's something that, you know, I could certainly put on paper and show the cost efficiency.
Michael, it's up for consideration at a future time.
Okay, so that's the end of the security committee report. And, before, these reports spent many hours doing this, it takes a few minutes to explain it.
Before we go on to any other actions, we've got the attorneys waiting for the, so I'll turn to the board. Scott has reviewed the changes and Paul. Scott, you've reviewed it and you're in agreement.
I would sign it.
Paul, you've reviewed it and changed.
All right, if you need more than one signature,
So therefore the board,
understand the changes that
hold
were
on,
made?
take the vote.
Do you understand the changes that were made?
We'll take a vote, does anyone vote against signing?
And we already authorized the
So let's
signing
say-
if the amendments
Just
were made.
sign it, and take a copy for our files.
What's wrong? Ron Harms is not here. He left at the beginning because he's not an owner. He wasn't allowed to remain. He wasn't allowed to remain.
That's not true.
Well, I'm just telling you what he said. I'm not only, he said it himself. He was standing here talking to us here. He said since he wasn't an owner, he wasn't allowed to remain.
He's here to guide me, and he represents the owner.
Arian, I'm not arguing with you. I'm only telling you what he said. Okay, that's all. He's not here. I met him, and he's not here. And that was his reason. He was told to leave. He was told to leave, I guess, by Scott or somebody. Well, I'm a messenger.
Did you get that report, the amendment report?
You don't have to buy it.
Where'd you get that report?
Just get an order to rent it to the policeman.
Right, exactly. I was just thinking about that. Right, exactly. Yeah,
That would be the amendment.
Right, I like that idea. Right, I would do that, just to cover the expenses and go with the appreciation, especially since it's a cost.
Gotta tell them to prepare.
Right, exactly. Right. It works. It doesn't cost you anything. You got an investment that should appreciate it. You bought it at the right price.
Have you seen Scott say? Did you hear?
We have two more committees that took place, and one of them, Howard, is going to get the minutes of those meetings because that requires a vote on the change of the date of the annual meeting. But first, this is the minutes of the meeting on delinquent maintenance and foreclosure. It started at 2:40 p.m. on March 5th. The roll call was myself, Mark Jones, Paul Pickus, Marvin Tao. Also in attendance was Dan Coco, Stuart Wolf, and attorneys David Bro and Michael Chadwell, which are two of the attorneys of Bro, Chadwell, and Levine, our collection attorneys. And the recommendations that came out of this meeting were that the board would authorize our collection attorneys to, number one, provide a new addendum to our lease and purchase applications, allowing the association to collect past due maintenance and assessments. He looked at the one we currently use and said that it was inadequate and that he had another form letter authorization, which he has already forwarded to us and we have to review. The second request was to, and he suggested this, David Bro suggested that we add to our condo docs, which some people think are in there, but it's not, which matches this addendum to collect rent from delinquent owners in a condo amendment that matches the addendum to the leases. The amendment would match the addendum giving authorization to the association to collect rent from delinquent owners. That puts teeth in the authorization to collect rent, which our attorney Bro said, if it's in our condo docs, we have more leverage to enforce. So we're requesting that he create this new amendment to collect money from delinquent owners. And then we already have the matching addendum. The next thing is to provide us with, and perhaps we can do this in-house, is letters which are, according to Bro, we need to notify the delinquent owners that we are taking the escrow maintenance and applying it to their accounts. We currently have about $93,000 in owner escrow. Much of this is from owners who went into foreclosure or are 90 days and more like a year behind in their maintenance. And they put up 3 months maintenance when they applied to purchase here. And that money is sitting in an escrowed account with no interest and going nowhere and of no use to anyone. It belongs to the association. My estimate's that it's about $40,000 or $50,000 in that account that belongs to the association due to the fact that these people either went into foreclosure or haven't paid their maintenance in a very long time. And it doesn't require an attorney, and Howard agrees that it's in black and white in our condo docs that this money belongs to the association. Why we can't transfer it, I don't know. There's no reason why we can't just transfer this money. We know who the owner is. It's the association. There are other people who put their 3 months maintenance into escrow and never received receipts. And to identify and reconstruct that list is something that's going to take a little time. But what we can do right away is transfer that money in the owner escrow account from the foreclosure and delinquent maintenance owners. So Bro said that we need to write a letter to the delinquent owners notifying them that we're crediting their account for the money that they put up. We're not taking it away from them, we're essentially giving it to them by applying it to their delinquent maintenance and then putting it in our operating account. There are actually 3 letters that we need to have. One to the owner for to let them notify them of the escrowed maintenance applies to their account. And then we need a letter that goes to the unit owners and the tenants advising them of rental garnishment, which we have liens on about 100 apartments here. And under the lien, we can garnish the rent of the tenant if we can determine who the tenant is. But the letter would go to the owner of that apartment, and the letter would also go to the tenant advising them that the rent in the future will be paid to International Village. And this requires a certified letter.
And also, Michael, that may be, in the notices we're getting from Donna Berger, these things are being contemplated to be added into the condo laws of the state.
Yeah, this is also being considered at the state level, that, this may become law, but before it becomes law, we can begin to enforce this under the
We
liens.
also can enforce, already, by our docs, we can withdraw for those who are, I don't know what the time is, 90 days in arrears.
Yeah,
Their privileges can be and should be
Well,
withdrawn.
that's under consideration in the state legislature. But our new authorization to collect rent, we can start collecting it from the tenant after 10 days after it's delinquent. That's it. What we're asking for is the board to authorize a new addendum to put teeth in the ability to collect past due maintenance from owners, an amendment, an addendum, and 3 letters which would be sent out certified to notify the owners that we are what we're doing. And that meeting adjourned at 3:40 p.m. on March 5th.
So should we make a motion?
We need a motion.
Right.
Do you want to?
I suggest we make a motion to authorize our attorney to prepare this the amendment and the letters.
You can't make it,
Well, I'm suggesting that we make the motion.